Hey lovies, and welcome to Below Publishing's YouTube channel. So today we're going to cover quite a sensitive topic, and I say sensitive because it's one of the drawbacks for most people when it comes to publishing, and it's one of the reasons why people even opt for self-publishing instead of the publishing route through a publishing house. However, by the nature of publishing and the services within the publishing process, there are just those costs that you cannot avoid. So in this video, I'm going to share where these rates come from, particularly the ones that we use, and what you're actually paying for when you're paying for the publishing services. Let's get started. Now, the rates that we use are rates from the rates report published by the South African Freelancers Association. That's their logo and that's their website. You can check them out. They publish a rates report every year, which comprises of data collected from the different freelancers within Southern Africa. So it's freelancers who do a variety of services, who provide editing, proofreading, graphic designing, videography, whatever you can think of, including the services that we provide here in Below Publishing. Now let's look into the one service that costs the most, which is editing. Now in the previous video, I did mention the different levels of editing, and if you'd like to know more about them, you can check out our social media platforms, as we do from time to time share details on that. Now, one thing you need to understand when it comes to editing, and what you need to keep in mind as well when you are paying for the editing service, is the fact that editing takes the most time. Number one, we need to read the manuscript more than once. And number two, editing may take up to 2, 3, or even as far as 6 months, because the editor will need to speak to the author from time to time to verify a couple of things to make sure that what the editor has communicated on the manuscript is exactly what the author wants to communicate through their book, while also considering and making sure that the end product will be what the reader will actually enjoy and find useful. There may also be some research needed, especially for fiction books, and ghostwriting is another form of service that requires a lot of time, because information will need to be gathered, perhaps also some research will need to be gathered. So it always depends on the book itself, what the book is about, or which service is needed to be provided for the particular manuscript. But generally speaking, editing and writing in general takes the most time, and because of that, it then demands a lot of money. The third thing that you also need to consider is the level of editing that is needed, in terms of it being light or medium or heavy. And we cater for that because our rates are a range. So the editing level would be, for instance, copy editing would be between 30 cents and 50 cents, and the rate that we will use will be within that range, depending on whether it's heavy editing needed or light editing that is needed. So that's also something else that we need to consider when we do make payment for editing services. The next service that would be more costly is proofreading, and that is because another eye would need to look into the book, and again, they would need to read the whole book, the whole manuscript, line by line, each paragraph, each chapter, and more than once. So we need to consider that as well when we are paying for proofreading. Now, the next costly service is book cover designs. Now, book cover designs don't necessarily have to be expensive. It just depends on the type of design that you need. So for instance, the graphic designer will be someone who will be starting a design from scratch. If it's maybe a sketch artist starting something from scratch, it would then be costly. It also depends on how complex the design would be. But here in Below Publishing, we do cater for different budgets. So there is a basic package, there is a medium package, and there's an advanced package. It's just a matter of you choosing which package you would like. The good thing though with using graphic design is that it's an original. You are guaranteed that there is no other book cover that you will find that is exactly the same as yours. It is original, and you have control over the final product. You have control of what it is that you would like to have on the design on the book cover, but of course also considering the creativity of the graphic designers. By the end of the day, what we want to achieve is to have a book cover that is appealing, a book cover that depicts exactly what the book is about, and a book cover that would actually draw the readers to actually want to know more about what is inside this book. Now, the next service that is more costly, well, it's not more costly, I'm just going down from the most expensive service to the least expensive. So the next service would be typesetting. It may not necessarily need to be as costly. It just depends on the type of book that you are publishing. So if it's a non-fiction book or fiction book with just words, then it will not be as expensive, and it will take about a week or so, versus books that have tables and graphics and illustrations, which may need more intense designing. Then those may take a little bit longer and maybe a little bit more costly. And in terms of the cost, the typesetters that we use, they charge per A4 page. Now, the next service is the marketing service. And I mentioned in the previous video as well that we offer a variety of marketing services. Now, the one that may be quite costly is the Q&A one, because we go to a studio and have a Q&A session there, and a videographer would then videoize that and edit it professionally, and they will have to upload it on our YouTube channel. But if you don't want something that costly, then we can opt for the book review. We spend about 2 hours to complete and publish the book review on our website, and we charge an hourly rate for 2 hours. Another option would then be to create a poster for you, which would be created for over 2 days, and we simply have to market on our social media platforms, and then also boost the post to reach a wider audience, which would also be a little bit more costly, but it doesn't even reach 1,000 unless you want to reach over 1,000 rand, or if you don't mind spending that much for your marketing. You also have the option of having 4 radio slots where you're speaking about your book. Of course, you probably have to choose what topics you have to speak about, but at least you will be marketing your book, and the cost for that is less than 1,000 rand as well. The next least expensive cost would be the printing cost. At the same time, that also depends on the number of pages your book is, and if it's a non-fiction or fiction book with just words, it is not as costly. It may be less than 100 rand to print a book. But if it is a book that has lots of graphics, especially books that have pictures that will need color, then that may be a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as all the other costs mentioned previously. Then the other thing that may make your book a little bit more costly, on top of the number of pages and the pictures that your book might have, it is the kind of material that you want to use for your cover. So for a hardcovers are a little bit more expensive. So hardcovers for instance, children's book, or even for normal non-fiction books, or for cookbooks, the hardcover material, it may be a little bit more costly, but not as costly as all the other services. It doesn't even reach 1,000 rand, probably maybe as far as 200 rand, not even close to 500 rands. And then the least expensive item, which actually does not cost a thing. Yes, you heard right, it's actually 0 rands, and that is the ISBN. Now, the ISBN we get from the National Library of South Africa. However, there is a cost that needs to be incurred for printing the books and to have them couriered, because the library does need 5 copies of your book to be sent to the Pretoria branch, the Bloemfontein branch, the Pietermaritzburg branch, and 2 branches in the Western Cape. Now, it is a choice of yours to print and courier just 1 copy to Pretoria, but then once you reach 100 copies, once you've printed and sold 100 copies, you need to send 4 other copies to the other branches. And there may be some people who may argue with this point, but there is a minimal admin fee, because somebody has to complete the processes for getting the ISBN. Somebody needs to complete the ISBN application form, send it through to the library together with the edited manuscript. Someone has to complete the SANB information sheet once the ISBN is received, and someone has to make sure that the printers print and courier the books to the library together with the SANB information sheet, and someone has to double check that the books have arrived at the library. Now, I'm not gonna speak for other people who assist us to publish or other companies, but we don't necessarily charge a ridiculous fee because it's just for the purpose of completing the process of getting ISBN. It does not need to be expensive. It doesn't need to be expensive. But of course, if you have the time and you would like to complete the process of getting the ISBN yourself, you're more than welcome to do that. And that is that from me. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, if you have any questions or you would like to address some more concerns regarding these services or these costs pertaining to these services, do please leave a comment below and we shall address it. And I shall see you on the next video. Bye now.